Welcome back to Learning Partner. So in this video, we are going to create an Jira app, right? So everyone who is working and those who are preparing for the interviews must have heard of Jira, right? So Jira is a ticketing tool for project management. So whenever in the software industry, we have some project going on. So we create tickets, bugs, some epics and everything. So many things are there in Jira. So we will try to create the basic functionality, means we should be able to create the projects, we should be able to create the tickets in that particular project, we should be able to assign that to respective user, and we should be able to drag and drop this, right? So these 3-4 functionality we are going to try, because that is just the basic what everyone can assume in Jira application, right? So this is just a demo of actual Jira application. What we can do over here, let me just show you. Create new project, right? So we can create a project. Some things are different here, but on click of create, we can create an issue over here, right? So create issue means we can create the ticket and defects or task, anything. So here you can see issue type, status, to do, right? Then we can assign it also to someone. So UI I have already created. So let me just show you the UI. First is the login page. I will share the UI in a separate repository. This is the login page I'm going to use. Then board, right? The board you see, just like the Jira, I have created the same like that. This is just a plain HTML. We will convert that into the HTML. Then we have a create ticket model, right? So this is a create issue model. So with these 3 things, we are going to start the Angular project. So I have created a basic project. This is an basic Angular project I have created. Let me show you the package.json. So Angular 16 is the version I have in my local system. I have added Bootstrap and font awesome here. The same Bootstrap and font awesome entry I have added in Angular.json in the style, right? After installing Bootstrap, you need to add this. Now, the components we are going to need, let's create those. So in app folder, I'm going to create a folder, let's say pages. Here I will have all the component which will be connected to the routes. So open new terminal. So first component we are going to need is projects, right? So ng generate component projects. In this component, we will do the CRUD operation of the project. I mean, user can create the projects. He can see the list and everything. Then ng generate component board. So board component, what we have seen, where we can drag and drop. So that we can create in the board component. Then we are going to need the login. So ng generate component login. Right. Again, if we are implementing the login page implementation, so we are going to need a parent component which will have the navbar, right? So let's create that. I will name it as a layout. Here we will keep our navbar. Right. So project page is there, board page is there, login page is there, layout page is there, and one more component, that is users. So with these 5 to 6 components, we can conclude our whole application. Now after component creation, I will be creating routes. So in app routing model.ts, create the route. So first route will be our default route. So path will be empty. Then just format it. Will direct to, it will be login. Let's put it as a star. So it will be a wildcard route. Then path mesh strategy. And option will be full. So this is my default route. After that, again path. Now my login component route. Path will be login. and component will be login component. Since we have the login page implementation, so we are going to do some changes in the routing, because once the login page is there, app component will be parent component. But once user login, then layout component is going to be my parent component. So for that, path will be empty, component will be layout component, and in that children will be all the components which will be visible after the login. So here again, path first route will be of projects, component, project component. Second path, users component, users component. Right, so how many are remaining? Project is done, user is done, board is remaining. Path, board, component. So I'm not going to implement auth guard and everything, because it will again increase the video time. Just trying to basic functionality, so we will just focus on that. Right, so three routes has been created. Now let me just copy paste the code we have. So this was a login page. Let me open that. Let me open the same folder in Visual Studio. Ticket creation. So I'm just copy pasting the HTML from that page. So this is the main div. Let's copy. We have to paste it in our login.component.html. First thing. Then we are going to need the CSS also. So I'm just copying the CSS in login component.css. So our login page is done. Let's see if it is loading properly or not. So to load the login page in app component.html, we need the router outlet. Router-outlet will be over here. Let's file and save all, and let's check. Let's check what is the error. In login component, we have some error. Let me see what is it. Okay, so let me just remove that for now. This form. This we are not going to need now. Are copy pasting all the HTML and the CSS. Let's check. Yeah. So you can see the basic login page is there. After that, we need to implement the login functionality. Now let me show you the API we are going to use for this project. So this is a free API which I will be providing. In that, Jira is there. In this controller, I have all the API. Right. So this is the API which I'm going to use. For now, I won't be creating services and everything. I will just make the API call from component itself. So let's try it out. Execute. So this is going to be my API. So let me just copy. So first we have to create the object, right? What we need to send for this particular API. So this is the object, right? So let's log in obj :any. So object is done. Then we have to bind this object to the particular text box. But before that, we need to add the app module of forms module in the import statement. Forms module. Without that, we cannot use ng module, right? So now in the HTML page, this is our first text box. So here we need to bind round bracket ng model. Right. So we need to bind login object dot our particular property, that is email ID. Right. Now this same will go to the name also. Then same thing for password. I'm not going to do the validation because again it will consume the time. So just to reduce the time of our video, we won't be focusing on that. Now on click of login with, on click of this button, instead of submit, let's make it button. Click event on login function. Let's create this function into .ts. Now we are going to make the API call, right? So to make the API call, we need HTTP client module in our app module, right? So that let's import that. It will come from HTTP commons/HTTP. This will be HTTP client module. And this we have to add in the import, right? These are the very basic things we normally do. After that, in our login component, we have to create object of our HTTP client service. So constructor, then we have private HTTP client. So if your version is below Angular 16 or 15, you will get constructor and ng on it by default ready. But from Angular 15, it is not there. So we have to manually create the constructor and implement ng on it and everything. Right. So now here we need to make the API call. So this .http DOS. Let's check the API call. So this is a post, right? Because we are going to send the object. So obviously it is going to be post API. So for post, we have two parameters. First parameter is the URL. So let me just copy the URL. So this is going to be my URL. Let's paste it. After that, we need to send the object. So object will be this dot login object. Then we can do the subscribe result colon any equal to, right? So here, let me just add a debugger and let's check. Now we don't know the user, right? So here only we have the API, that is get all user. Let's check if we have any users. Yes, so we have the user, like user ID chetan@gmail.com. This I'm going to try. Then password is 1234. Let's open the console and check if API call is successful or not. In the network tab, we will get to see that. On click of login, we are going to make that API call. Yes, so we have got the response. You can see in the data, we have got all the data. So whatever the details we have sent, the details found in the database, and it has returned successfully whole object, right? Along with user ID and everything. Yes. Now we need to store this detail into local storage because we have got the detail. But just an additional check, if you see the response, all the APIs are returning result true. If the API call is success, we will get result true. So that we will add just an extra check, that will be result dot result. If it is true, then only we need to store it. So local storage dot set item, our key will be Jira login details. Now, when you are storing the data to the local storage, we are going to store the object, right? But make sure when you store the object into local storage, you have to convert that into string. So JSON.stringify, and you need to pass the object, whatever the object we get. Now object we get in the data property. So see result.data, right? So that we will write it over here, res.data. Now this is an if statement which will be mandatory, which is for success. But if we what we can say, details are not correct, so we will get false in result. So there we have to show whatever the message we get from the API only. Result dot message we get. See in the result, this is property. I will show you that also. Let's save and check now. Let's continue. Now I'm going to provide the random detail. Okay. Now if you see login, let me just enable the debugger. Now if you see in the result, we have got, oh, so this is my fault. From the API I'm sending true only. It should be false. Let's just change the code. Let's add a data over here, because if data is not there, so if you can see here, data is null now. So we have just added a check for that. Let's try one more time. I will fix that once I deploy the API again. Let's try with the basic detail. Now data is null, so it will go to the else block, right? And message we have got is wrong credential that we have shown. Now let's try the right credential. And password is 1234. Let's try with login now. Now we have sent the correct details, so you can see we have got the data. Now data is there, so it will go into the if condition, and we have stored the data into our local storage with this key. So first part is done. Login page is done, but once login, we have to redirect it to somewhere, right? So to redirect, we are going to need the navbar also. So that navbar, I can pick it from my HTML pages. So this navbar will go into my layout component. Let me close all. After login, this is going to be my parent component. So navbar will be over here. After that, again, container fluid class I will add. It should be dot. And inside this router outlet will be there, because after login, again, we are going to show the children pages, right? So for that, we need the router outlet to render those components. So once we do the login, we are going to redirect it to the board page. So now from here, .ts, we are going to redirect. So we need to create the service object of router. So private router. So in if statement, when user is successfully logged in, this .router .navigate by URL, and we have to pass our URL /. So let's check the URL. So URL will be, let's say, board. Let's check it now if it is redirecting or not. Let me just copy paste. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue. Yes. So you can see we have successfully logged in. Now let me just copy some CSS. That should be green, blue something. So for that we need some CSS. So layout.component.ts. Let's save and check it now. Yeah. So you can see navbar is properly here. Now, wait, what is happening? Drop down menus are not opening. Why? It was opening over here. Okay, so in angular.json file, script.js is not present. So let me just add that. So I have added bootstrap main.js in my script section. Remember, whenever you are changing anything in the angular.json, no? So you need to compile your application again. Then only it will take effect. So now you can see, I can see the drop downs properly opening. Now, board page is empty. Why it is not showing anything? Let's see in the board page. Yeah, board work is there. I think we need to add some top padding. $85. Let's see if we see the board. It might have gone outside inside. Yes. Okay. So first is like login page is done. After successful login, we have redirected to board page also. Now we will try to complete project component. So project component is like just the basic CRUD operation. So let's go over there. This is board layout. Let me close all. And this is the project component. Now let's see the API. Get all ticket, create project, update project, delete. So 4 APIs are there. So first is like get all projects. So let's execute. Yeah. So this is the API, right? So first thing we are going to do is we make the API call for getting all the projects and show all the projects we get in the tab, let's say card format. Instead of table, we will be showing the data into the cards. So before that, we are going to need the object, right? So project list colon Amy array, then constructor, because we are going to make the API call, so we need the object. So private HTTP colon HTTP client. Now we will need one function, get all projects. Inside this dot HTTP, this is a get API call, and for get we just need one parameter, that will be URL, and dot subscribe round bracket result colon any. It is not necessary that you write result only, response, anything, whatever you need, you can write it over here, right? It's just a habit of mine that I normally do the result, and whatever the data we get, I will be storing that into the project list. And we need to implement ng on init, implements on init. Why on init is not coming? Let me check. You just need to add first import in that, then it will come, right? Then ng on init. Then this function call I will be making from this, right? So we have got on the page load, we have made the API call, whatever the data we have got from the API, that we have stored into this particular variable, right? So that now that I have to show in my card. So call 3. So now I will create a structure like for every CRUD operation, I will be using models, right? So in call 3, let me just here I will be using for loop star ng for let project of my variable, that is project list. So this will go over here. Now we are going to need the card. So card, then card dot header dot pg success. Then here we can print our project name. So that will be project dot, let's say the field we have got, that is project name. Then in card body, we can show what things we have. Okay, so short name we can show it at the top, and project name we will use in the body. Project, right? Let's add a import row column structure. Dot row call 6. In first call 6, we will show the project name. Then in extra call 6, we will show the created date, right? So many less details we have. Now it's a date, so we can add a date pipe with dd mmm hyphen yy, right? So let's save and check if it is looking properly or not. Okay, now that navigation part is remaining, but let's do that later. I will just directly put the URL over here. Right. So you can see in the API, we have got two projects that you can see it over here. Right. Now we are going to need edit and the delete button also. So let's add that in the card footer. So card, again, row call structure we can create. Here I can use button. This will be edit. Let's just add a class. btn success. This is for edit, and this will be for danger, will be for delete. It will be btn sm, small button we will be using. This will be delete. Right, so edit and delete functionality we will target later. Now we need a form to create the project, right? So above this row, I will again create a row dot call 12. One button I will take. Let me just copy the classes. Right. Create new project. So now on this button click, we have to open the model pop-up. Right. We just align it to the right text. And so on this button click, we have to open the model pop-up. So let's just go to the Bootstrap. Get the structure of model pop-up, Bootstrap 5. From here, we are going to need the model. So this is model. This is the model code. Let's paste it at the bottom. Now here, let's remove the unnecessary things. Now, let's change the model title, new project. Now I need to open this model on the click of that button, right? So let's create the function for that. So click, or directly we can use these things, which are by default there. So we don't need a click event. Let's save and check if it is opening. Otherwise, we will write the click event. Yeah, so it is opening. By using the plain JavaScript thing, we are doing that. Now, here we need to create a form, right? So let's create form. Dot call 3. We will need a label. Project. First label will be for short name. Then we will need the text box. Input. Then let's just first copy paste the object which we have for create project. So create project, only 4 fields are there. So let's copy and paste it in the object. So this will be project obj colon any equal to object. Let's initialize that with empty. Created date as the new date. Just the default date we have to set. Now this I have to bind with this text box using ng model. So ng model is equal to project object dot short name. So this will go over here. So this is very basic thing we are trying, because when actually in Jira, there are multiple fields, like what kind of board you need, models and everything. So many things are there, but we are just trying to create the basic thing. So it will be with these 4 properties, we are going to create our project. Then full name. The second thing, that is project name. Right. So only 2 fields are going to be needed, because project ID is a primary key and created date we don't need to say it will be automatically. Right. So instead of close button, we will take save button. Let's close. We don't want this over here. Now we are going to write a click event on save. Right. So let's create this function. Now here what we need to do, post API call. HTTP dot post. For post again, we need 2 parameters. First is URL and second is the object. So object will be project object. Let's see the post API call. Let's click on try it out. Let's click on execute. So here it will go. Then subscribe thing will be same as it is, but we don't need this project list, right? We can need that res.data So res dot result check, right? And alert res dot message, and in else also we will just show the message. But if it is success, we are going to call this get all project again, because we should be able to see the updated project. So let's save and check. We won't be targeting edit and the delete, because same thing will be there. There are tons of my videos where we can create edit and delete functionality. So please refer that for that. Okay, I think we have missed the form control class. Let me just add that. So class form hyphen control. Let me just copy paste over here. Let's save and check it. Now UI should be proper. Why it is very small. 5. So short name is having some restriction, like only 3 or 4 character we are going to need. But long project name, it can be long. Now let's create Uber project. Services. Consider like we are going to have this project. On click of save, see one API call is there and it has written 200 also, and project created successfully. On click of create, you can see project is visible over here, because after save, we have made the get API call. So latest project is also there and it is visible over here. Now, so project is created. Now next is users. So we need to create the users also, right? So let's do the CRUD operation of users. So in users, again, I can copy the same thing, because this is the same thing I'm going to need. Now let's check the object for the users. Whenever you are doing the practice project, make sure you don't waste your time designing and everything. Try to copy paste as much as you can, right? Because we are in less time, we should be able to complete so many things, right? So if you are very concerned on the design and everything, you will end up in doing less work. Now, so user object dot, what are the things we have in user object? Email ID. Then we are going to have full name, user object dot full name, and password is also there. So very straightforward basic form is there. Four, and this will be 4. Or let's make it 6 because we have a model pop-up. Let's make it 8. And username, password we have to bind. Use email ID and password will be in a one line, and full name will be at the bottom. Password, and this will be full name, email ID. Right. Now we need to create the save function. Let me just copy paste all the basic thing, because we are just going to change the URL. Basic code will be same only, right? So just like user object, we are going to need one more variable to store the list. So that will be user list. HTTP client import we are going to need. Whatever the API data we get, that we will store over here. Let's change the name. Users. Let's change the API also. Create user, get all users. So this is the API. Let's change it. Then we need to change the create API also. Let's try to execute. Let's copy and paste it over here. And instead of project update, it will be user object we need to send. See, the basic things I have copy pasted again, then just the names I have changed, right? Now in the form also, we have to do the same thing. Instead of project list, it will be user list. And we have to change the interpolation things. What things we have? So email ID. then full name. You can show the full name over here, and password we will be showing. It is optional, or based on your need, you can show the password or hide it. Create new user. Yes, so all the things are done. Let's save and check if it is coming properly or not. So you can see with just minimum copy paste, I have just completed the basic CRUD. Right, so users are coming. Let's try creating new rahul@gmail.com, password 112233, Rahul survey. On click of save, user created successfully, and get API call is there, and you can see newly added record over here. Right, so project and the user page is done. I mean, only create and the get things are done. Edit and the delete you can do. Just the normal API call is going to be there. After that, let's try to, on click of create, we need to open that ticket form, right? So that is the main thing. Now create button is in the nav bar, right? Means layout page. So we can put that our model, right? So that model which allows us to create the page into that layout component. So I'm just copy pasting my HTML code, layout component, HTML. I will put it over here. Okay. Now this is example model. Let me see what property we have over here. On create, yeah, example model only. So let's say when check on click of create, we should be able to open the model pop-up. Why it is redirecting? Let me see. Anchor tag is there. Okay, anchor tag hash is there. Let's save and check now. Yes, so you can see model pop-up is visible. That is, this is the main thing. From here, we are going to create the tickets, right? It can be defects or bug, anything. Then it will be assigned to particular user. Now assignee, this is just a static, right? So here we have to do the API call. So here user API call will be, user API data will be there. Here project API call will, data will be there, and this is the static thing, right? So now in layout component, we need to make the API call, right? So what API call we are going to need? First, like project. Just copy paste. So if you have seen, I'm doing the most of the things on the copy paste only. In the layout, on init, then we need to implement. We don't need the object. HTTP client import we are going to need, right? Just like the get all project, we are going to need the users also, because users we are going to bind that over there. This is also needed. User list variable we have to create. Any array is equal to empty, right? So two things are done. So on the page load, we are going to make two API calls. So this dot get all users, that's it. So on the page load, we are going to make two API calls. Now, if you have seen the page, we have issue type and status. Two static drop downs are there. Like in issue type, we can have task, defects, R&D or something. If you see here, create, only task and epic is there, but there are so many things we can do. So let's create an array to hold that data. So let's just create a static array. Issue types, colon, it will be of data type string array, ticket, defect, let's say R&D type work. So only three issue types are there. Just like that, we are going to need the status also. Let me just copy paste status. And status will be to do, in progress, and Done. Only 3 status we are going to use. Now we are going to use this on the ng for, right? So first issue type we can do. Let's see the issue type. What it is doing. Okay, anchor tag is there, so we don't need that. Select. No. After that, we are going to use the for loop on this option. So star ng for equal to let type of issue type. Whatever the data we get, we will print that over here. It is a string object, so there is no need to bind the value, right? So just like that, action status also we need to bind statuses status. Just make it sta. Let's say when check if the same data is getting populated over or not. On click of create, yes. So see, for loop is working. Now second thing is options, right? For the project. So same thing, just copy paste option. Now here variable will be project list. Here we need to bind the value because this is, we have the value and the ID of collection of key and property value is there, right? So here project, we need to bind ID dot, let me see what, get all project ID. Always try to copy paste the field name, because if you do the spelling mistake over there, you won't get the error also, and you won't understand like what is happening. And in interpolation, project name will be displayed. Just like this, project is there. After that, assigning. Here also we need to, like, user dropdown we have to assign, right? So user list will be over here. User. Now user dot I have to change. Let's check the binding. Get all user. User ID will be there. We have to bind to the value, and full name we can show in the interpolation. Let's save and check it. On click of create. So you can see projects are coming. This is also coming, and this is also coming, right? Now reporter. Reporter should be whoever is what we can say, creating this particular issue. So means logged in user. We have the logged in user stored into local storage, right? So let me just bind the same option in the reporter also. But once we bind the model now, then we will assign that. So now all the drop downs are completed. Now next thing is we have to create the object. So let's see the create ticket object. Create ticket. Okay, so this is the object. Let's just copy, go to the layout component, ticket, obj, :any. Right. So let me just remove the empty things. Now this we have to bind to all the fields, right? So starting with ng model. So it will take some time. ng model equal to, let me just pause the video till then. Okay. So in the object, we don't have any property for issue type. So I'm just going to comment it for now, but I will add that in some time, right? So when you are going to implement it, you will get that property in that object. So only status, I'm going to use it for now. Then summary. So this will be summary. Let's copy paste. then description, let's copy paste, then assignee. Assignee will be means assigned to. This is the field which we have to use. Then reporter. Reporter means created by, who has created this particular ticket. Then attachment thing is, we have not implemented that in the API, so just a UI will be there. So all the UI part is done. Now just one thing was remaining, like we need to assign the created by, means whoever logged in user is there, we just need to assign that property. So first we need to read the login data. Login data is equal to local storage dot get item. When we logged in, we have stored the user logged in data into one key, that is Jira login detail. We will be using that to read the data. We need to add a if statement for null check if login data is there or not. So login data not equal to null. If it is not equal to null, again, we are going to convert that, because while storing, we have stored that in the string format. So again, we have to convert that into the object format. So we have to use JSON.parse. Parse data is equal to JSON.parse thing. So JSON.parse is used to convert the stringified object into actual object. Now, whatever the data we get, that we have to assign in the created by object. This dot ticket object dot created by is equal to user parse data dot user ID will be there in the local storage. So if you see now the created drop down na reporter. See, I have logged in, so it is already selected. Right now, we have to on the click of create, we need to call the API. So let's write the API call. Let me just get the URL. This is the URL. On ticket create. So this dot HTTP, again, it is a post API, right? Because we are inserting new data. Post round bracket, first will be the URL and second will be the object. So this dot ticket object, then subscribe thing will be as it is. Let me just copy it from user, because we are going to need that if and else block. So this will be over here. Right. So now let's check if we are able to create the ticket properly. On click of create. So I'm selecting Uber project. Status will be to do. Let's say login page implementation. This is going to be my ticket name. Let's say we have to create login page with API integration and everything. Right? We are going to assign this to Savita. Right? The reporter is me only. And on click of create, let's check the API call is success or not. On click of create. Okay, we haven't done the API call. I mean, on click of button, we haven't call our function. So click. Right, again, we have to fill the whole form. On click of save. Project. Status to do. Login page implementation. Description. Right. Then user will be Savita. On click of create, it should see the now API call. Right. So you can see we have got successfully created. Let's check the object. In the payload, you can see project ID is there. Status we have, okay, story point we have forgot. then assign two IDs there, created by IDs there, right? So let's check the get all ticket, and whatever the ticket we have created is present there or not. Yes, you can see this is the latest ticket we have created. It was under the Uber project, and these are the basic things which we have got. Now, so we are able to create the success, we have successfully created the ticket. Next thing is the board implementation, right? So where is the board? Let's just add a navigation first. Board. Let's go to the layout. Board. Let's see board component is loading. Yes. Okay. So now here we are going to need the HTML of the board. So board. This is the static HTML I have. Let me just copy and paste it over here. Let's just save and check if it is looking proper. Okay, so CSS are missing. So let me just get the CSS also. Let me just copy the whole. I don't know like what things are there. So in .css, I have pasted it. Let's see if it is proper or not. Okay, so now you can see it is proper. Now, what we need to do over here, if you see the Jira actual application, so once you hover on the project now, whatever the project you have, it will be visible over here. It will be dynamic, right? So same thing we can do in the layout also. We should be able to select the project. Only one project will be selected at a time, right? So let me just remove this. In layout component, we already have the data of projects in this variable. So now this I will use on the li. Let project of projects, and project name I will be showing over here. Project dot short name or something is there. No? Why it is giving error? Project name. So let's save and check it. So in navbar, we should be able to see all the projects. Yes, right. So now on click of it, I need to show the, let's say I select the Fun Planet. So I should be able to see the tickets of the Fun Planet project only. And let's say I select the Uber, right? So I should be able to select the tickets of that particular project. Now, this navbar is in a layout component, but board is a separate component. So here we need to create a subject, right? So we are going to need, now we are going to need a service that will be common in both the places. So in app folder, let me create a folder that will be for service. So here I will be creating a service. Let's name it as a master. Ng generate service master. Right. Now here, so we need to create the subject. So on project change will be public new subject. This will come from RxJS. Okay. So on project change, this is the subject I have created. Now, when we are changing, when we are clicking on the subject, means from the layout page, right? So where was that? Yeah. So we need the click event over here. Click. Let's say set project. Now here we need to send the project, current project. We need to create the function. And from HTML, whenever we are clicking, we are sending the object, right? So that we need to catch it over here. Colon any. Now we need to create the service, that is master service. Now, whenever the project is created, whenever we click on that particular project, when we are changing the project, we need to emit that. So master dot on project change dot emit, sorry, next. By using next property, we can emit the observable, right? So object we are going to send. And this thing, again, we need to, whenever we are clicking on the project from the navbar, we need to receive that into the board page, right? So in board page, in constructor, let me create the constructor. Master service we are going to need. And over here only, this dot master dot on project change dot subscribe. We are going to subscribe whenever it is emitting the data. Right? So we will be subscribing whenever we have the project. Now, in the board component, we are going to show the tickets of the selected project. So we have one API that is get all tickets, get tickets by project ID, right? So let's see the URL. So this is my URL. Let's copy. And here we are going to make the API call. So get select get project tickets. This dot HTTP. Okay, HTTP object we haven't created. So let's create that private HTTP colon HTTP client. Now here this dot HTTP dot get API is there. Right, just the ID will be dynamic, right? So ID will be, we can get it from the parameter, and that we will assign it plus here, then subscribe thing, just copy, right? So now we have to call this function whenever we are clicking on the projects, and we will be sending result dot project ID. So I will show you the whole thing, like how it is working. This is just a tricky thing over here. And we are going to get, right? So I have added debugger over here also. Let's add the debugger when we are emitting the data over here. And we need to create the tickets array. Colon any square bracket is equal to square bracket. Right? Whatever the data we get, that we will store in this variable. res dot data. Let me just format it. Right. So let's save all and check how it is working now. This is the static data. I will make it dynamic. So if I click on Fun Planet, you can see in the layout component, we have got the event. And in the object, we have got all the object, complete object of that Fun Planet. Then we are emitting that object with our subject. If I continue from here, see, we have got the subscribe thing in the board component, and result.project ID is there. And we are calling the tickets of that particular selected project. Why it has redirected? Let me see if I have the hash. Yes, so let me just remove that. Because of that, it is going to the parent page. Right, let's try again. Let's click Uber taxi services. Now project ID is 7. Continue. We have got the same project ID and we are making the API call. And in result.data, see, only one ticket we have got, right? Because in Uber project, we have just created one ticket. Now we just need to design a structure for this board. For this, it is little bit what we can say tricky, but I will try to explain that. Right. So to achieve that, we are going to need the both the array. Only status array we are going to need. This array I am going to copy paste. Right. This is the first array. Now I have the tickets also and I have the status also. Now, if you see the structure, we have number of cards. That card will be according to the status. So in HTML, let me just go back. This is first card. This is second card. This is third card. Right. So we need to make this column dynamic. So star ng for equal to let status of status. Right. Now let me remove this. This was the static thing. Now instead of to do, I will be pasting status. Right. So let's save and check if we get the properly 3 status. You can see to do, in progress, and done status is there. But in everything, we have the static data. Let's remove that now. So inside that, this is the first ticket. Yes. So let me just remove all the remaining tickets. Let's save and check it one more time. You can see now only we have the one ticket. Now here again we are going to need a for loop. So for loop will be card body. Inside card body we are going to have the ticket. So here we are going to have again for loop ng for equal to let ticket of. Now we have one variable, right, where we have all the tickets. Tickets array, we are going to have all the ticket, but we need to show the particular ticket according to the particular status only. So to filter out, we are going to create one function, filter ticket, round bracket. So we are going to return the data. So return this dot tickets array dot filter, because multiple records is going to be there and parameter will be there. Status colon string m dot, we have to compare that. Let me check the response. Okay, here also we have get all ticket. We have to compare that with status field equal to whatever the status we get in the parameter. Right. So now this function is responsible to get the particular status ticket. Right. So we just have to send the ticket. So this function I can use it over here as a on ng for, and we have to pass the status. See, this status I'm going to pass it over here. Right. So now let's save and check. It should work fine. Now if I select the Uber taxi, continue, see, right? Now let's try to create more tickets in Uber. Let's put it in the in progress layout, nav bar creation. Let's assign it to Rahul. Let's click on create. Thing is not right. The description. On click of create. Now, one more thing, once we create the ticket, that should be loaded exactly, board should be refreshed, right? So that we will create. Just let me, okay, again, I think we have missed something. Let's check the object. What it is saying. Assigned to is there, created by parent ID. what we have read. Let's try to put description, something else. Now bar creation UI. Let's try it again. Okay, some error is there from API side. What is the error? Description, status. Let me just check the database. Like if I have some minimum length criteria. So because of the minimum length on the status, that was getting error. Now it is created successfully. So now if I select that project again, continue, you can see vendor verification. Okay, we haven't changed the state interpolation here. Now ticket, let's say this is ticket dot summary, right? So we have to show the summary. And here we have to show like to which we have assigned. So ticket dot assign to name. In story point we haven't added, so it is coming 0 only. So let it be static only. Uber, continue. So you can see from where vendor creation is coming. Okay, it is coming from here. Right. So you can see tickets are coming properly in the particular status. Now one thing was remaining. On click of create also, this board should automatically get reloaded. So again we need to create one subject. So that will be in the our service. Let me just copy paste on ticket create. And from the layout, once we create the ticket, we need to emit. Right. So this dot master service dot on ticket create dot next. Let's implement true only. Doesn't matter what data we are sending, we just need the subscribe thing, right? And this we will be subscribing over here. Subscribe. In same thing we are going to need because project is already selected. And we have to call the project. Now, if you have observed on the page load, we don't get to see any tickets, right? We need to select the project, then we will get the tickets, right? So on the page load, at least we can show some tickets. So that we can do on the page load. That is on the layout page. Once we get all the project now, we can set, we can just emit the first project. So this dot project list of 0 or yes, let's send the 0. So at least first project, whatever the first project, it will be by default selected and it will be visible. Let's see if we have the data or not. Unplan it. Done. New project setup. Description something. Assigning. Let's click on create. So you can see we have got the subscribe thing and project ID. Okay, it is undefined only. Why it is undefined? Project list of 0. Right. Get all project. Let's check if this is happening or not. Because on the page load, we are setting some default project, right? So that I think it is not working. Yeah, it is working. But okay, so we need to store the project data also. Selected project data in. Whenever we are getting the data of selected project, that we will store it. Okay, not here in the board component. So this dot selected project is equal to result dot just result. We can store whatever the data we get. And when we make the API call, here we can send result dot project ID. So I think this should work now. So let's. So new project is there. You can see on the page load also, we can see by default Fun Planet project is selected. If I change the Uber taxi service, you can see tickets are changing. This Annadata we can change because selected project data we have got it over here. Now instead of this, we can just bind it. Project name. So whatever the selected project is there, that will be projected over here. See, right? So this is everything what I wanted to tell you how we can accomplish this Jira project. In the next, I'm limiting this project up to here only, because drag and drop I have already completed in the previous video. So please just go through that. The same thing is there, right? So that's why I'm not repeating it. So with this video, we can implement the basic Jira application. We can create the project, users, and we can assign it also, right? Again, some APIs are also there. Let me show you. Like get ticket assigned by user. So you can see your work, right? So if logged in user is there, we have to show the ticket assigned to that particular user. So you can, on the page load, you can call this API, get ticket assigned by user. Whatever the data we have in the local storage, that user ID, you can pass it over. So we can load the tickets which are assigned to the logged in user. This also you can track. Again, edit and the delete thing, so many things are there. You can do that also. I have just covered the basic things. All the APIs are here. You can make use of it, right? So that's it with the current video. Please do subscribe and like my channels.